Hi everyone, welcome to Good Day Chula Vista, and we are on our episode number 48 or 7? 47. Yay! We're getting closer to the 1 year anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So we have a different setup today, and we're here with Eric from the Inspectors Company.
Hi everyone.
Eric Martinez. So we're going to be talking about some really good stuff about inspections, so stay with us. Well, thank you for joining us. And as I said before, we're here with Eric Martinez he's the owner of the Inspectors Company. Hi, Eric.
Hey, Faby, thanks for having us.
Of course,
having me.
Yes, this is your second time here.
Second time here. Thank you for having me again. Can't wait to go over some of these topics that we're going to talk about.
Yeah, I think this is really important information. So, so before we start asking him all the questions, I want to invite you guys to share this video to your page, and that way your friends can see it. You know, everybody's eventually going to buy a house or sell a house, so we're going to be talking about inspections, home inspections. So please help us by sharing this video. If you haven't liked our page, please like our page. And remember, we're having our 1 year anniversary show this June 27th, and we're going to have a lot of prizes. The Inspectors Company is actually one of our sponsors, so we're going to have a lot of gift cards. It's over $1,000 in gift cards that day, so make sure you join. Today we're going to have a drawing also. We're going to give out a gift card, so make sure you're making a comment, asking questions. Anybody that participates makes a comment, and their name is going to be put into the drawing for today after the show. And I promise you not to forget to do it. So we have a different setup today. Did you notice?
Yeah, I like this. What you have here, this is was done by an architect, you said?
Yes, one of my clients, Lorena, and she sold her house, and she just recently had her 2 grandkids. And her daughter's not going to have any more kids, so they had 2 boys. I guess she was saving that for if she had any granddaughters. So she ended up only having 2 grandsons. And I was so lucky to get this house because her dad is an architect. So he made it for her when she was younger, and she has like all the furniture. I haven't set up the furniture behind, but she collected all that furniture throughout the world. Every trip that she took, she bought something for the house.
Maybe we can use it as an example.
Yes.
Yeah,
I think it's a good idea. With that, he's going to be here. He's a home inspector. What better way to present this house? But it's so cute, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it. It's really done nice.
Yeah. Thank you, Lore, for giving us this beautiful house. Maybe I'll have a granddaughter someday. But I'm going to use it at the same time in the meantime. Eric, I know you already have been working with you for years now, but tell us about you.
Yeah, so my name is Eric. I'm the owner and inspector for the Inspectors Company. Born and raised in San Diego. We've been in business for about I think this is our 3rd true year now. And we do a lot of home inspections and inspection services that you as a buyer or potential seller would want to look for. And we're just there to kind of, give you an unbiased opinion of the house and just give you a lot of recommendations on what to do and to upkeep your house. So that's a little bit about me.
So you were raised here in San Diego?
Yeah, born and raised in San Diego. I actually grew up in Imperial Beach.
Oh, you did?
Which is not far from here. I did go to high school to Mar Vista. Graduated from there. Yes, I graduated high school. I also went to schooling in Mesa College. I got a certificate in building technology. So that's kind of where a little bit about my home inspection background came from. After I got my certificate in that, I started getting involved with the inspections and got my certification. And 8 years later, here I am, still doing inspections. Yeah.
You do a great job, by the way.
Thank you very much.
Not just because he's here, he really does. And you have all the right equipment, and you're like on top of it. Like everything, all the new things that come up, you're buying them.
Yeah, all the tools and the equipment, these are important things that I think you should consider asking an inspector, if they have, what kind of tools they use, what type of equipment do they have. Because sometimes, an inspection is very minimal if you don't have tools and equipment. But we try to take it a little bit further just to give you a little bit better of an inspection, provide some more thoroughness for a buyer.
So let me jump into. So what we're talking about is 7 things. We came up with the list. I mean, we just said 7 is a nice number. Let's just pick 7.
The lucky 7.
Yeah, the lucky 7. So the 7 most common items that are missed by buyers when purchasing a home, whether you have an inspection or not. It also depends what inspection company you're using. A lot of clients will tell me, "Oh, my uncle can do it because he knows about construction." Is that different than going with an inspector?
It's very different. If he's a contractor, contractors, it's good to have a licensed contractor maybe go with you to an inspection, but maybe not necessarily do the inspection. You should want a third-party inspector, but maybe have your friend there. That way, if there's any questions that should be brought up during an inspection, the contractor can conversate with the inspector and go back and forth.
Right. Get an idea how much it's going to cost to do something in the house.
Right, exactly.
Okay, so we have a lot of viewers. The first one is going to be the buyers are not present during the inspection.
Yeah, so that's one thing that comes up a lot that's often missed by buyers is that they're not at the inspection. Either they're buying a house and they're from out of town, which, it's not necessarily their fault that they can't be there. But if you can be at the inspection, really try to be there because we're going to elaborate on a lot of things that you'll see in the report, but in layman's terms, we want to try to explain it to you then and there as you see it, so you can really relate to it. Because sometimes, if you're not there and you read the report, it can be a little bit overwhelming because you're really not going to know how the inspection as a whole kind of turned out to be. And that's the information we try to relate to you at the time with your agent, just so you guys can kind of go over any findings that we came across.
Right. And I think a lot of clients, what they do is you get started with the inspection and then they get there later. So that way they don't have to be there the whole 2 hours.
Yeah. You don't have to be there the whole time. At least come during the last half an hour so you can still catch us there. And if you're walking through the house, even doing your own inspection, you can even say, "Hey, Eric, what's this over here?" And then we'll kind of take a look at whatever you think you might have a concern about or anything that you want us to look into a little bit further. At least you have us there for the time that you are there, and we'll still be able to give you a little quick summary of what we did find.
True.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do. Some clients like to be there the whole 2 hours.
Yeah.
I just think they find more things that maybe don't make a big difference, but since you're there.
That's completely fine too if they stay the whole time. I have some people follow me, and that's completely fine. They just want to see what I'm doing, what I'm looking at, and I can kind of inform them as we go.
Right. One of the things that I always say, make sure you find out where is the emergency shut off for the water and the electricity and the gas. Just because as realtors, when that happens, they're calling us.
Yeah.
"Oh my God, Faby, I'm like, I don't know. Make sure you ask your inspector. Those are 3 very important questions. You want to know how to turn that off, and who better than the inspector when he's there to show you. Because sometimes we found that there was not an emergency shut off for the water. I mean, you caught 2 of those. So
Yeah, I've actually had an agent call me. I don't know, it might have been you, maybe not. I had an agent call me and it's like, "Hey, Eric, my buyers, they had a leak. They were putting up some thick artwork and TVs, and they burst through a pipe, and they didn't know where to shut the water off. And so they called the agent. The agent called me, and I had to go through the report really quick to find it. Yeah.
That would have never been me because I make sure they know that before you leave.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Absolutely.
That's part of the. No, because I always worry about getting those calls because I don't want to be the one getting that call. And I'm like, "Oh my God, I would freak out and not know how to. What if you don't answer?"
Yeah, exactly. And we put that in the report too. And that's part of the, by being at the inspection, we can show you where those things are.
Exactly.
How to shut the water off, the electrical, and the gas. Because those 3 utilities is actually what, makes your house function and work.
Right. Okay, so then let's go to the second one. The areas that are not accessible during time of inspection.
Yeah, so I like to talk about that too because, it's something that's kind of missed and overlooked a little bit by buyers. As inspectors, we do try to look as in many areas as we can, but, in our line of work and standards of practice, it does say that, we're not required to lift furniture or lift big items because we don't want to risk damaging someone's personal belongings and things like that. So, when things aren't accessible, we advise maybe getting a reinspection for maybe a small fee before the close of escrow so we can go through the house maybe one more time to kind of give it a second look after all the furniture and all the personal belongings have been moved
Mhm.
out, so that way we can make sure there wasn't anything that
You
was
missed.
covered up and could have been missed.
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, especially when they have those big rugs that are covering the whole area, you
Yeah.
won't be able to see the wood floors underneath if they're in good shape.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes people are moving and you can't really check the garage or a certain room because there's so many boxes and you can't really see everything. So definitely that's the case. You should definitely get a reinspection to make sure that you don't miss any of that.
Yeah, most definitely.
Okay, so that would be, the having areas that are covered, and then underground plumbing. So this is a big one. Get a sewer scope inspection.
Yes.
Septic.
Yeah, so this is probably one of the top things that does come up a lot is having,
Yes.
the sewer sometimes has problems after the buyer moves in. So, if you don't get the sewer inspection, most people don't know about the sewer inspection too, and that's where I try to offer that service and educate people to try to get it, because sometimes, problems can happen with the sewer and most people don't know that they're responsible for what's underneath the house.
Mm-hmm.
And by getting a sewer inspection, which can be added on to the general inspection, on our website, we have a list of services. So it's something that we promote. That way, if you wanted to include it with the home inspection, you can, because you may have roots in the sewer line if you have trees on the property, or if you're buying an older home, you might have old waste pipes that are cast iron. Some of them can collapse, some of them can crack, things like that. So I think getting the sewer inspection is something that sometimes buyers overlook and just maybe aren't educated and should maybe really consider.
So how do you do those? What is the sewer inspection? What is it that you guys do?
Yeah, so we have a special tool that's like a snake, and has a camera at the end of it with some lights, so that way we can actually see as we travel down the sewer line. We either put the camera in through a clean out, which is a pipe that's used to, snake anything out of the sewer line, or we can go in through the roof if it's an older house that doesn't have a clean out. And we just put it down the main waste pipe, and it has a little monitor that we carry as we're putting the camera in, and then we can actually see the whole inside of the pipe to see if there's any roots, or maybe sometimes the pipes will have a slight belly and it'll start sagging, which may indicate that the pipe might need to be fixed or replaced.
Right.
And so that's kind of how we do it. So depending on the age of the house, where the clean out is located, we'll figure out where to kind of insert the camera in through to be able to perform that inspection.
That's great. I was telling Eric before we started that that's a big thing that sometimes we miss as homeowners. So if you're buying a house, maybe I was telling him about an incident we had. Maybe there's no problem for the current owner, or if you're the owner and you don't have any issues, but we had a problem with the house and it had those clay pipes. They were really old and everything was working fine, but the clay was actually broken, but the dirt around the pipe was guiding, the sewer. So obviously there were no issues, but the pipe was broken. And these buyers decided to have that inspection, and that's how we found out. So we went back to the seller and said, this is happening. And there was a big tree there. So that was what was causing it, but they didn't want to repair it. So we ended up just moving to by finding another home. But those are things that it's not a waste of money when you do those inspections, because maybe there's nothing there, but if there is, it could cost you a few $1,000s to fix it. So you might as well have the seller. Now, if you're the seller, you might want to have that inspection before you put it on the market, because maybe you're going to have to repair that and you're not going to find out until you're in escrow, and maybe you don't have the $5,000 to fix it.
Right.
So maybe the buyers are going to find out and then you're already planning on moving. So I think it's a good idea, if you've had problems in the past, to do that before you put your house on the market, so you don't have any surprises when you're already in escrow and end up paying all that.
Yeah, that's a great point. I mean, just like the inspection can range from a few $100s, so can that inspection. Sometimes it might be tough to, put your money together on all these inspections, and I can understand that where, you can't really maybe afford that inspection, but if you do have the money, invest in it, because, a couple $100 more can really save you thousands because, the sewer is something that the seller might not know about.
Right.
They may not know.
They're not doing it on purpose. They just never had an issue.
Right, exactly. So they can't disclose it if they don't know about it. And by doing the sewer inspection, we'll catch it. And so, maybe something that you can fix or get a quote on how much it'll cost, and may give you a different, look at the house to see if it's really something you want to buy.
Yeah. So you're saying I think you said if they have money, they should do it. But I think it's when they don't have money, it's when they should do it. Because if you have money, if something comes up, then you can fix it later. You have the money, but I think it's when we don't have the money that we want to spend the money on that inspection, those $200. If you don't have money, then definitely do the $200 inspection because it's going to save you in the long run.
Yeah, most definitely. And I've caught a lot of sewer issues, and sometimes even on brand new houses, we'll find things in the sewer pipe that shouldn't have been.
What's the funniest thing you found?
We
talking
found
about this before. Tell us.
we found sanitary women products. We found underwear in the sewer pipe.
I was telling him, why would an underwear be under in the sewer? And I was like, oh, maybe the husband got caught. I'm just gonna flush it down the top. Just kidding. We're just being silly, but yeah, he did find that.
Yeah, we find funny things in the sewer pipe. I mean, I found Legos. If you have a house with kids,
they're gonna flush it down the toilet.
Yeah, usually you'll have a kid's bathroom, right? That you have kind of just for the kids, and then sometimes even it goes down the tub if they're playing with their toys.
Yeah.
That tub drain is going down the main sewer pipe anyway. So sometimes even if on a new house, we'll find stuff that you still may want to get inspected.
Yes.
And I did want to talk about that a little bit too, because it kind of relates, because we do septic inspections too. And that's kind of like a sewer, but except it's your own private sewer in your backyard, pretty much. And even getting the sewer done on that can help, because we'll find things with the septic tank that you wouldn't even know about, because the septic tanks are buried, and that's also something that you're responsible for.
Right. Yeah, there's not that many. There's here, like we're in Chula Vista, but once you get to Lakeside, Hamul, that's even Mount Helix, there's some. Yeah,
in La Mesa. Yeah, septic tanks are actually pretty common. You don't find them in the city mostly, but once you move out further east or more in the rural areas, like Fallbrook, Escondido, in those areas, you'll find septic tanks. And and that's another thing that can be missed by a buyer. So if the seller doesn't get the septic tank inspected for you, that's something that you would also maybe want to invest in, because it can cost.
Get the certification.
Right, get the certification. A septic tank can cost. I had a client a couple of days ago. We inspected the septic tank. It failed the inspection, and the seller had to end up buying a brand new septic tank for them.
Oh my God, how much is that?
It was about, I think, $9,000. It was. Yeah, it was.
See, so it's important. If you have that inspection, you would have been stuck paying that after if you didn't do that inspection.
Right.
So what are the things that could go wrong with a septic tank?
Usually the leach fields where the septic tank disperses out all the effluent and kind of all the waste.
Right.
Usually those get clogged, and then it causes a backup in the septic tank. So usually the septic tank, lasts a very long time if they're made of concrete. But mainly it's the leach fields that have, because they're pipes that are underground that kind of help disperse all the waste, and the soil just kind of absorbs
the liquid.
Absorbs the liquid in the dirt, and the bacteria in the dirt help break it down. But usually that's kind of what comes up a lot is the leach fields.
Remember, make sure you get an inspection and a certification. I know we had one in the one we sold in Pine Valley, I think. You did the inspection and everything was fine, but we did get that in the certification. Okay, so third one, underground plumb. Oh no, we went over that. Number 4, if you have a pool, add a pool inspection.
Right, that's another thing that gets missed too. If you're buying a house with a pool, and we offer to get the pool inspected, or if you don't want the pool inspected, it's another thing that buyers can miss is by not having the pool inspected. And things can go wrong. There's equipment that goes wrong with the pool that should be inspected, but that's the thing that sometimes they miss, that they don't get.
Right. Sometimes you see the pool and you see that everything looks fine, and you think, well, I don't see any leaks. It looks clean. Everything should be fine. So sometimes it does seem like a waste of money getting that inspection. But we just also had an incident, and my clients decided not to have that inspection, and there was a leak in the pool, so they had to fix that after. I mean, luckily it was something that could be fixed easily, but still, it was around $1,000 to fix that. And those things are not covered by the home warranty. So, she had to pay for that. There's a few things that the home warranty will cover, like part of the equipment, the pump, and all that stuff. But if it's a leak, and it's a leak that is causing the water to go down, and now the water pump is not working properly, they're not going to cover it, because it's not just regular wear and tear. I mean, the leak is causing that to happen. So you have to be really careful. So it's definitely a good idea, even if the pool looks fine. I mean, if it's a brand new pool, you should be fine. But if it's an older pool, definitely get that inspection. And you were telling me that now there's a way to detect the leaks.
Yeah, there's equipment that that you can get or have added on to the inspection where if the inspector has the equipment, you can put the device in the pool. It'll measure the evaporation, or it'll calculate the evaporation rate per day, meaning how much the water or the pool loses water, and it can actually see if it's actually dropping in water level to see if, and that could indicate that there's a leak, which may lead to a little bit more thorough of an investigation to see where the leak is, and at least that the pool might have a leak to lead to another inspection.
Yeah, because these clients, they didn't want to do the inspection, but guess what? We had to pay for an inspection. They had to pay for an inspection to find out what the leak was anyway. So at the end of the day, you end up getting an inspection anyways. Yeah. So we could have had the seller pay for all that if we would have just paid for the inspection.
That's true. Not a lot of home inspectors, because you do have to be certified to inspect pools.
Right.
So most home inspectors don't inspect pools because they're not certified or qualified to inspect it, which sometimes, when you get the home inspection, the home inspector's not going to look at it, but at least still maybe hire someone that can do both, or get a separate person to come in just to look at the pool.
Yeah, definitely. That's some really good advice. Don't miss that, because it's missed a lot in people that are buying, in houses that have a pool. Mm-hmm. And the fifth one, improper maintenance of appliances. Yeah,
so a lot of times, after you buy the house, homeowners miss the maintenance on the appliances. A big one is the heater and air conditioner. The easiest thing that can be replaced is often the thing that causes the most damage. For instance, like the air filter. The air filter is usually what causes a malfunction in the fan that blows out all the air for the heater and for the air conditioner. Right. And if the filter is really dirty, it can cause the fans in the system to overwork itself, which causes it to break down. So just imagine if you're sucking through a straw with a paper at the end of it, you're using more force, more energy, more force, and that's why lack of maintenance on heating and air conditioning equipment can be easily missed and cause a lot of damage later on.
Right. So you want to make sure that even though you don't see it, you have to change that filter. It's not just for health issues; it's also because you want to, keep your heater and your furnace in good shape.
Yeah, because that's what's going to keep you warm during the winter. It's going to keep you cool during summer. And especially if you don't change your filter and summer's around the corner, you're going to have to pay Bill Howe or one of those big companies to come and fix it.
I know, it's expensive. Make sure you have your home warranty. We work with Michelle from Michelle Adcut from First American, and it's so inexpensive to have your home warranty for the whole year, and they cover all that. They've not replaced my AC, but they fixed it a couple of times, and it is expensive. So definitely just changing your filter, I do it more often because we have dogs, and I think when you have pets inside the house,
all the pet dander, the hair, all that stuff gets sucked in through the system, and it has to get cleaned out. Definitely. I think it's only like $100 for like a tune-up for your heater and air conditioner, and it's recommended to get it done every year. Because the heater and air conditioner is probably the biggest and largest appliance that you'll ever use in the house.
Yes.
And it's often the thing that gets put to the side the most, and that's why things go wrong.
Because you don't see it.
Yeah, because...
And you know what? It always breaks when it's hot and you need the AC. That's when they break, right?
Yeah, just like our car AC. Sometimes when we need it the most, it just doesn't work. Yeah.
I know, and then it's the summer, so they're all booked, and you get an appointment for like the following month. And you're like, oh, I need my AC today. Yeah. So yeah, definitely. So is that one of the things that gets missed the most, huh?
Yeah, and then the kitchen appliances too. So your kitchen has a vent, and the grease filters. Going back to filters, the grease filters capture all that grease and kind of nasty gunk stuff that gets captured in the filter when you're cooking. And if it has enough buildup in it, it could potentially catch on fire when you're cooking. So that's another thing that should be maintenance on appliances.
Are you listening, Adrian? He's the one that cooks at the house.
Change the grease filter. I'm sure it's probably dirty.
I don't think we've changed it since we wash it. I think Blanca washes that. She takes it off and then washes it.
Yeah, so the grease filter and then the exhaust fans in your bathrooms.
Yeah.
You know, have little covers.
Yeah.
Those often, the same thing, you know, the fan's going to overwork itself when it has all that dirt. And,
Yes.
and that's how things can malfunction and break down from lack of maintenance.
The fans in the bathrooms, you have to remove that little cover and wash it. Yeah. Those you can really tell. Like, I mean.
Yeah.
When you're, you can see those. But then. Okay, when you're there, just looking up. Like, oh. Okay, and then the next one is, what about the dishwasher? We didn't mention about the appliances.
Yeah, dishwashers, you want to check for leaks. With older homes, sometimes there's a copper water pipe that's actually supplying the water to dishwashers. And sometimes every now and then I like to look at certain insurance claims that causes these types of damages. And sometimes if the dishwasher has a straight copper water line going to the dishwasher, it'll get corroded. And it's something that you can't see right away.
Right, because it's behind the cabinets, behind the
cabinets, underneath the little compartment. And that's what can potentially cause a flood or a leak. So that's another part that you should really kind of maintenance and inspect for yourself every now and then, just to make sure it's fine.
I asked, they were doing some construction work in my house, and I asked one of the guys if he could go under the house and check for any leaks. And that was one of the things that I wanted him to check, like under the kitchen, because it's true, like you can't really see. And if it's leaking, like my house is raised foundation, and water that, can damage your house big time, because especially if you don't see it for a long time.
Yeah.
And there was one leak in one of the bathrooms in the sink, and it's been there for probably a year and we hadn't seen it. So that's going to be repaired, like they're replacing the whole pipe. It's a whole pipe that's there, but I think it's a good idea to have someone go under your house and check for leaks if you have a raised foundation.
That's a great point too. If you have a raised foundation, I think it may be maybe $100, a couple $100, just to get, or if you don't want to do it yourself, have someone crawl under there.
All the spiders. There's actually no spiders down there. I think it's too hot for spiders to live there. I don't know.
It depends where you live. I mean, there's sometimes I've gone in crawl spaces where there's just spider webs everywhere, and I'll try to bring a stick just to kind of, or a broom just to kind of knock them down. But yeah, you can hire someone to come in there, inspect
for leaks.
Check for leaks. Let the water run as you go under there, so you can actually see it as it's happening if there is a leak.
Yeah, because those things, you know what, they're gonna damage your house. I mean, our houses are just wood and drywall. So they'll damage, and if you have a raised foundation, if it starts getting too wet, your house could move. That's another thing. If it starts getting too wet.
It could affect the foundation, and sometimes too with insurance companies, if mold already starts to grow,
they don't want to cover it.
They don't want to cover it.
They're like, it's been there a long time and you didn't tell us.
But you would have never known unless you get maybe someone to check it out, or have your husband or your boyfriend go under the house, put on a suit. You can buy a suit, at Home Depot.
Or they can hire you.
Or they can hire us, But I mean, it's definitely something that you should check out and get inspected. Same thing with the roof too. The roof you should maybe get checked once a year or right before the rain season.
Right.
Sometimes, things can move, and, while we're inspecting the house, things could be a certain way, but as time goes on, elements can change certain things with the house, which, you should also have inspected.
Yeah, and also if there's a leak on the roof, you don't see it because there's the attic. So sometimes it takes a long time before you actually see a stain on your ceiling.
And the insulation.
Right, because the insulation is absorbing all that water. I mean, there's so many things. So definitely doing an inspection through your house and not waiting until something is showing up, because that could be that it's too late and it's going to cost you double to fix.
Get an inspection and a re-inspection maybe half a year later or a year later. That way we can maybe catch things that you should probably upkeep or replace or maybe repair.
Right.
Definitely.
So we were also talking, because usually when we do, me as a realtor, when we hire them to do the inspection, and then they'll give us like all these, we'll get the report. And then we go back to the seller and we request some repairs. And we say, okay, we want you to fix this and that. We negotiate it, and then they fix them. Then I don't know how to check that they were done right. And most of us, including myself, we're telling the buyers, okay, well, let's go do the final walkthrough so you can check that all the repairs were done. And the buyers goes and they check the repairs, yeah, everything seems fine, but we're no experts. So we're actually hiring an expert to do the inspection, but we're not hiring an expert to do the follow-up to make sure they were done correctly. So I think it's definitely a good idea to hire them to go back and check the repairs. That way we know they were done up to the standard and that it's going to be okay. So yeah, maybe it's some extra money to get that done, or maybe you can pay that up front when you hire them to do the inspection, whoever you're working with. But I think it's important that they go back and check those repairs to make sure they were done correctly.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, because there's, you submit the request for repairs, they agree to certain repairs.
Yeah.
They may fix half, they may not fix the other half, and then the other half that they did fix, they may not have done it correctly, or they may not have had a licensed contractor do it the right way. I've caught one where the house didn't have a heater, and the sellers disclosed that there's no heater. They've installed a wall heater, but the venting pipe cut through 2 different ceiling joists on the ceiling, which you shouldn't cut any type of framing or ceiling joist unless you have a structural engineer say that that's completely fine, which they didn't have any.
There's support.
That there's support where they cut, so like if you take down a load bearing wall, you should have someone approve that, which they didn't have. And I came back, I told them, I'm sure the buyers were obviously not happy, because then it prolonged the whole process. Neither were the sellers, because whoever they hired didn't do it the right way, and it prolonged the whole transaction, which was a little bit of a pain. But by getting that reinspection, making sure it was done the right way, at least you'll know that it was done correctly without finding out later on. Because maybe what if you sell that house and they did the repairs, but you didn't know they did the repairs incorrectly, and then whoever's buying that house during that inspection sees it. They're going to
make you repair that.
Yeah, and then they're going to make you repair it when you had no idea the whole time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. It's definitely a good idea to hire them back to re-inspect those repairs. Definitely. That's just as important as the inspection.
Yeah, it's definitely an option if you want to do it. It's not, there's never, a wrong time to get something re-inspected, just to make sure.
Okay, so that's number 6. And then number 7, read the entire report before putting together a request for repairs. There may still be items that the buyer feels should be addressed that the inspector felt did not have an immediate level of concern. So what does that mean? Yeah,
so a lot of times buyers what they miss is they don't read the full report. Mostly during a real estate sale, the buyer and the real estate agent just want to know the nitty gritty right away, like what has to get fixed right away, what are the biggest problems. Everything else in the full report, we'll still leave commentary, recommendations. Something may be kind of crooked or off balance, but it's not something that we'll put in the summary report, because it's in our opinion to try to make a judgment whether, hey, these are the items that should be readily addressed, these are other items that should, you can maybe get a handyman to fix here and there, but a buyer may feel that that's important to them, and they may still put that in the request for repair. So by reading the full entire report would definitely, just make them a little bit more satisfied, knowing that if they can ask for a little bit of something extra.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
So because sometimes, including myself, we just go to the end of the report.
Yeah, the summary.
We're like, okay, these are all the things that. Okay, so what you're saying is, there's some other little ones that are in the report.
Exactly.
Your reports are really good with the pictures, and then you separate those major issues all together. But I think it's a really easy to read report.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's 7. So those are only 7 items that we're reviewing, but there's so many things that could go wrong if you don't have an inspection. I mean, foundation issues. Not that they're going to tell you what's wrong with the foundation, but they'll definitely tell you something's going on here. You need to get somebody else to look at it because something is going on. And it's happened, that they tell us that, and as much as we hate it, we have to bring someone else in, and then they have to lift the carpet, and sure enough, there's a big crack on the foundation of the house, and you couldn't even see it. But inspectors,
we're just generalists. We're not experts in any one field, but we're generalists. We know a little bit about everything in the home. Going back to, I probably said this last time, we're kind of like your house doctor. We're going to see a problem, and if you do need another inspection from someone else, like you were saying, a specialist, maybe we saw cracks in the foundation where, that's where our level of expertise kind of stops, and then you should bring a specialist in to do their own specialist inspection.
Right, to tell you what's causing it. Could be nothing, but
Yeah.
you know, we just know it's there.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. So let's see here. We have some questions. I'll let you ask the questions.
No questions, just comments. Just everyone saying
Okay,
hi.
so we have here, let's see, let me show. Here.
Yeah.
So we have Stephanie Puente, she's one of our lenders. Jenny, Erica Langford, she's one of the agents. Erica Gutierrez. Hi, Erica. Chuy Hernandez. Jaime, here he is. Yana, she's my cousin. Marlo Martinez.
That's really cool. I like how you can.
You can see everyone that's here. Luis, so a lot of them are agents. Hi Sal, hi Ana, how are you guys? Thank you for joining us. Esperanza, Melanie Flores, Maritza, Merav, she's also another
I'm sure my
lender.
girlfriend's watching probably at home.
So probably she's not here. Alberto, you know Alberto? He's a termite inspector.
Oh yeah, I met him. I think I actually ran into him a few times during the inspections.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, because he's doing it at the same time.
Mhm,
as
at
you.
the same time.
So Beto, yeah, he's our go-to guy. Leti, Rebecca, Esperanza, Tony Reyes, Miranda, Lily. Not sure if this question applies. Does the inspection include solar panels, or is it totally? We didn't go over.
Yeah, solar panels is a little different. Usually, you want a licensed roofer to maybe inspect the solar panels because that's kind of their area of expertise. Unless a home inspector has that, extra level of like certification where they can inspect solar. But generally, I think licensed roofers are people that you want to call to look at the solar system because those are the people that are actually installing it. And there's, a certain few people that are specialized in doing that.
Yeah, they're more common nowadays. You go to a lot of houses and they have solar, and I think as people are going to start getting them more and more. I definitely think it's a good idea to get those inspected. Some of them are under a lease, so you're not responsible for them, but you're responsible for the roof. So you might want to make sure might want to get a roof inspector, like he's saying, to check
Right.
what's going on underneath those panels because you don't really see it. Maybe the panels are working fine, but maybe the roof is, there's heavy things on top of that roof.
Yeah, the solar panels weigh a lot, and if the roof can't carry the weight of the solar panels, that's where, I would say get a licensed roofer to get the solar panels looked at because
Right.
they're the ones that specialize in installing them. They know about them.
Mhm.
That's who I would go to for solar panels.
So overall, get an inspection, know what you're buying, know what you're selling, make sure that you're disclosing everything, and just be honest when you're selling and be very careful when you're buying. You want to know what's going on behind the walls. Oh, you also check behind the walls, right?
Yeah, we tried to check in the walls. We have a cool little camera that's it's an infrared camera. I call it the Predator camera.
Uh-huh.
Like the movie Predator.
Is that way you see it?
Yeah, you can see temperature and like if anything's leaking or if something's overheating, the camera will tell us exactly what areas, that might have moisture damage or
Right.
electrical problems. It'll help us find those little
Even
spots.
an old stain behind the wall.
I caught the garage ceiling is stained from, the toilet upstairs. And then we use the camera and then sure enough, there's like, something in the camera that's, a little different. And we grab our moisture meter and we kind of test it and see if there's actually moisture there. And then sure enough, there is. And
Yeah.
the camera will definitely help us with that.
Yeah, a lot of the toilets, because they have that wax, and after the years,
The wax ring gets bad and
Right.
it'll start to leak.
yes.
Yeah.
Or guys peeing outside. I'm just kidding. Kids. Okay, so then I think we covered a few things, right?
Yeah, we covered a lot. We covered, what buyers miss in an inspection, what type of inspections that buyers miss that they should get, like sewer inspections and pool inspections, even the septic tank if they're buying a house with a septic tank. What type of maintenance things that they should really consider that they often miss that they should really maybe think about during an inspection. And that's something that we'll go over during the walkthrough. So after we complete our inspection, we'll kind of give you a summary verbally of what we found, and we'll kind of go over all those items so you can know what to upkeep.
Don't buy a house without getting an inspection, honestly. do not do that, because it's better safe than sorry. It's like having a car insurance, you know. So we're gonna give out a Starbucks card because we're saving the good ones for our 1 year anniversary.
All right, let's see what we got here. Martinez.
Oh, Marlo. I don't know who that
Yeah,
is.
Starbucks.
Is that your cousin?
No, no relation.
Marlo
We got same
Martinez.
last name, but no relation.
You're a new follower, so I don't think we've seen you here. That's good. Thank you for joining us, and we're gonna leave you with a video. We have one of our listings. We're not able to show it right now. It's tenant occupied, and we're not gonna be able to show it until the 1st of July. But if you're interested, let us know, and we'll send you as much information as we can about it. But we'll show you the video because we were allowed to go in there and take some pictures, so we have a little video. It's a small condo, 2 bedrooms, 1.5 baths, and it's in San Diego, but it's right at the borderline of National City, so it's really close to 805, and it's listed for $250. Okay, so
Wow.
The
Yeah.
winner is related to Ana Hueso. That's
Oh.
her cousin's son.
oh, good. Thank you for joining us. Okay, well, thank you, Eric, so much for joining us.
Of
I know you're
course.
busy. I know you
Thank
have
you so
an
much.
inspection right now.
I have to go to an inspection after this.
Yes.
So
Well, thank
yeah.
you so much. And if you guys need to get a hold of him, what's your website?
It's theinspectorscompany.com, or you can reach us at 619-501-8282. You can look us up on Google, Yelp, Instagram, Facebook. We can be reached in all those platforms.
Yeah.
So even send us a message if you have a question. Even if you don't need an inspection, you can always send us questions, and we'll try to help you guys out.
Yes, they do have great reviews also on Yelp. I saw.
Thank you.
Alrighty, guys. Well, thank you for joining us. We'll leave you with that video, and we'll see you next week for another nice, great, amazing interview.